everyone, this is Chorus Landwalker, and this afternoon we are bringing you an exciting afternoon of Star Citizen. I am here in the habitation unit of Port Olisar in orbit around the gas giant Crusader. It is, as far as space stations go, it is probably not the most impressive, although it does have the distinction of being significantly differently designed than the R&R space stations. It also has a number of AI people who have no idea how to open a door. Here, let me help you out with that. Oh, plenty of people. Let us let you do your things. There you go. So, I had a couple of ideas of what I wanted to do for the stream today. One of them I'm keeping in my back pocket. It requires a little bit of preparation that I haven't had the time to actually do, and it may get hosed by the next patch. 3.16.1 is in the public test universe right now, and as far as I know, it could literally arrive at almost any time on live, and when that happens, there's going to be a lot of things reset. A lot of things have to get done to get myself back to where I am now, so I'm putting that one on the back burner. I can guarantee you, however, that nobody will see it coming. How's that for a tease? So I decided today to do something a little bit different. In past streams, I have gone to the effort of demonstrating the abilities and usefulness of a very large number of firearms. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what this sort button does, but it sucks. Just saying. Maybe if I custom sort by various weapons. Sort the primaries. Nope, still sucks. It would be nice if it grouped them all together. In any event, past streams. Past streams, I've taken out bunches of guns and demonstrated their utility, but I've never done the same sort of thing for starship weaponry. And I feel that it rates a look. Now, I do want to say up front that, as is usually the case for me, I am not likely to go into the real nuts and bolts of the effectiveness and utility of guns. I'm just not that detail-oriented. However, there is a place you can go that is detail-oriented. Putting the link up for the Urkel website right now. Urkel is a place where you can literally, well, exactly what it says here. You can develop your loadout for your Star Citizen starships. You can see what weapons will be out there, what kind of damage they do, what type of weapons they are. And it's not just weapons, but your shields, your power plants, your coolers, your quantum drives. Info on all that stuff can be found on Urkel. And if you're interested in getting into those nuts and bolts, that is a great place to go and look. Now, ship weapons can be picked up at a number of locations. At Olisar, you can get them at Dumper's Depot. And sometimes, well, you can't really count on it everywhere, because there are Dumper's Depots all over the place, but not all of them have vehicle weapons. Some of the vehicle weapons will be found at other stores. Center Mass over at New Babbage, and over at, what do you call it, ArcCorps at Area 18. There are some, I guess, generic ship weapons shops at some of the space stations. Lorville has, shall we say, some proprietary weapons, mostly involving their own designs, at their central business district. And I think Orison might have some in their showroom, but I can't prove it off the top of my head. So, let's take a look at the vehicle weapons. And I'm going to get rid of the global chat here because it's hiding half the stuff on the left-hand side. We'll bring it back at some point. And you'll see that we've kind of divvied up into 4 sections here. And you can even look at it in 2 sections if you really wanted to. Things related to guns and things related to missiles. Missile racks, and I'm not going to go heavy on the missiles this time around because missiles aren't really something I've fiddled around with very much. So and I'll probably put that as, I guess that's another idea for a future stream right there, because it would be good to get out of my comfort zone of using the default racks. But the racks give you various combinations of how many missiles can fit on a rack, what size missiles can fit on a rack. You'll notice that the first digit here corresponds to the size. I believe that some of these correspond to, oh, here we go. If I look at the 543, it's a size 5. 4 corresponds to the number of missiles, and 3 corresponds to the size of the missiles. So if you have a size 5 hardpoint, you might decide that you want to go with this kind of thing, or you might go with a 5.82 where you get 8 missiles that are all size 2s. That could be very useful if you just want to, flood the zone. Now that said, there is a limit on how many missiles you can fire at once, so some of these maybe not as useful as one might like to think. And at the bottom end of the spectrum, you get the 111s, which is basically size 1 that fits 1 size 1 missile. These will only go on the missile hardpoints. I'm pretty sure it's just the missile hardpoints. And we have various missiles, all of which have varying attributes and go from size 1 to all the way to the insane size 9s that can fit on some of those torpedo bombers. Again, specifics vary. Now for the guns, one thing you've got available here are various turrets. And turrets get interesting because some of them are very specific to a starship. You've got a nose turret designed solely for the Anvil Hornet. Also for the Hornet, you've got this ball turret. So you can actually fit on a pair of size 2 weapons up top. Gives you a lot of flexibility for your Hornet. So even if you buy the standard Hornet, you can still make it a pretty scary kind of ship. The spinal mount for the Drake Buccaneer, although really why anybody would want anything from Drake Interplanetary is beyond me. Garbage. Personal prejudice is getting involved, don't mind me. And I didn't realize they had a gimbal mount for the Reliant class of ships. Allows the size 3 weapon better movement when tracking targets. And then you have, then you have the generic Veripuck mounts. And the Veripuck mounts allow you to use auto gimbaling to kind of assist you on hitting your targets. How much use it is varies, and as you play the game, you may find that it's better just to use a fixed weapon. And the reason for that is, except for the size 1s, each of these fit on the size hardpoint. So, for example, size 6 gimbal, size 6 hardpoint. And then on the gimbal mount, you can mount a weapon 1 size smaller. So you get better accuracy theoretically, but at a smaller weapon. So I can only fit a size 5 gun or smaller on this size gimbal mount. And I'm not even sure about the smaller part. I'm pretty sure you can't do the smaller part. Maybe in the future, who knows? But you'll find that eventually you'll get to the point where you've decided to fix weapons more often, so you'll pull off the gimbal mounts and put on a gun of that size instead. So instead of having a size 5 gimbal, you might decide, okay, let's use a size 6 fixed mount. Because I'm good enough to hit those guys without the gimbals. And that's perfectly valid gameplay. And finally, we have the guns. And we've got a wide variety of possibilities here. You've got an item type, and item types are usually kind of almost a two-part deal here. For example, this one is a ballistic weapon, which means it uses physical hard rounds, shells, bullets, whatever. And it's a cannon, which means, well, it is not a rapid firing thing, but it hurts when you get hit by it. Compare that with this, the ATVS repeater. It's a distortion repeater. The distortion weapons are basically non-lethal weapons. They tend to hose shields and possibly electronics. There's kind of, mixed reviews on that because every so often it either becomes really, really useful or really, really useless. That's game balance for you. And it's a repeater, which is a rapid firing weapon. Got laser repeaters. These are damaging weapons, and again, rapid fire. We've already looked at ballistic cannons, haven't we? Laser cannons, which are basically lasers that, again, slow rate of fire, but they hurt. Scatter guns. This one is a ballistic, so again, heavy material weaponry. And the scatter gun is kind of, well, think of it like a space shotgun. It indicates that it's pretty massive damage at close range, but you can actually do a pretty good job with it at long range if you're up against a suitably large target. Like capital ships, for example. Laser cannons, laser cannons, laser cannons. Neutron cannons. Now, theoretically, the neutron cannons are pretty nasty as far as dealing with damage. The problem with neutrons is that they tend to be short, well, I think they're short range, but it's hard to say. Ballistic Gatling. This is the ballistic version of repeaters, basically. Except, again, physical rounds. Mass driver, you know what? I've really never monkeyed with mass drivers very often. So I can't really say too much about that. And these are only the weapons available at Port Olisar's Dumpers Depot. In other words, this is basically your default. If you happen to be... You can find better stuff at various shops all over the Stanton star system. And again, if you go to Urkel, you can find out where to pick up the weapons that you like and where they're located. Now, we're going to take a quick second here to open up my Mobi-Glass, because obviously, just talking about these guns, that's not really what people are here to see. No! They want to see stuff happen. They want to see people shooting stuff. I did say that it is the age of shooting. Ooh, I seem to have lost a gun here somewhere along the line. FL-33 cannon. Oh, I really lost a gun. Sheesh. I wonder if I think that got blown off somewhere along the line and never got replaced. So let me see if an FL-33 can be picked up here. They can. In fact, odds are high. This is where I bought the original batch.
Smart buy.
Now, the FL-33 is a size 3 laser cannon, and this is important because no, not the inventory. Because that tells me what I can load up on my Aegis Saber, which is going to be my initial guinea pig. Now, I would like to point out that this is not the default weapon for the Saber. The CF337 Panther repeaters are the defaults. So let's get that one loaded in. One of the reasons that led up to the idea for this stream is because I decided that I wanted to see how well the Saber would do using the laser cannons as opposed to the laser repeaters. Now, I do feel compelled to mention that the reason I'm going heavy with the I like to go heavy with the laser stuff is because they do not run out of ammunition. They are limited by the capacitor on your ship. You know what? Actually, let's make this a little more interesting, shall we? We want to put 2 of my repeaters back on. Right and left. And that way, we'll be able to demonstrate the difference between rates of fire. Damage is going to be a little harder to tell because I really don't have anything useful to measure that sort of thing. But it should help. And the best way to test these weapons is the hard way. We're going to go out there, we're going to grab a bounty, and we're going to kill them off. And maybe we'll fly over to Grim Hex, because I think... Oh! Heh. I made a wrong turn. I can't remember if, I'm pretty sure Grim Hex has a dumper's depot there, and I'm pretty sure they've got weapons there too. I mean, Hive of Scum and Villainy, right? Now, one of the nice things about Star Citizen is that these weapons, since they're different weapons, you will be able to tell they're different weapons. You can see this one's kind of got the triple look there, while over here we've kind of more of a double look. Each weapon has its own appearance. And good, I did that right. I was pretty sure I did that right, but always good to make sure. Now, usually, I don't mix weapon types like that. But again, gotta demonstrate this stuff, right? Now we're going to hop over into my Mobi-Glass and grab a contract. Now recently, like within the last few days, I managed to get my bounty hunting reputation high enough where I have unlocked extreme risk targets. We will not be going after the ERTs. Fact is that this is really not the ship I want to be trying to fight potential hammerheads in. Especially with this sort of thing. So we're going to go a step down and go with the VHRTs, the very high-risk threats. These guys I can take down. Last seen at Trams & Myers Mining. Oh, that'll be entertaining. So we're going to set up our target. Tram. Trams & Meyer is notable in the Crusader system here, the Crusader planetary system, as being one of the places where you can get laranite, the most valuable cargo material you can transport. Except for perhaps Quantanium, but Quantanium kind of requires someone to mine it and then refine it.
Thank you. Please visit again.
But if you're doing just straight cargo runs, laranite is it. Needless to say, every cargo hauler worth anything knows that. So 9 times out of 10, you can be sure that the supply of laranite will be small. Still, it's nice if you can get it. Now, I'm not expecting too much in the way of surprises today because honestly, a lot of the players right now are involved with an event called Jumptown 2.0, where basically for the next, well, for the next 8 hours or so. No, I think no, 24. Next 32 hours, I think. They will be able to go to a certain criminal location and either try to stop or try to indulge in drugs. Hey, Cap, how are you doing today? Hope life is going well on your end of the monitor. We are going to be taking a look at guns. Specifically, ship guns. Oh yeah, the Daymar Rally is also going on, which is a player-run event. And odds are good that by the time I'm done with the stream today, I'll just host the Daymar Rally on my channel, because, hey, why not? I do want to make some changes on my MFD, because I do want to know my target and my self-status. My primary target, over here in the center. Oh, yes, before I forget. Always, 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 always pick up call to arms. Never ignore the free money. A boarding mission is about to be going on for you. It can only go well solo. Hey, Whammo, thank you for the follow earlier today. I did notice that in my email. Glad you can come join me. I'm presuming you're talking about an 890 boarding mission, which, yes, can be done solo. I do recommend that you try early on to get to their medical bay there, because that will certainly make life easier on you if you should accidentally die. Now, right now, my weapon group, my first weapon group is repeaters, and these are the cannons. So you can see there's a distinct difference in the rate of fire on these guys. We're going to open up on the repeaters, and hopefully we can get a good look on the target display as to how well I injured the Valkyrie with my first round of repeater fire. Maybe not turn on my lights. It's dark out here, and it's very difficult to avoid hitting the ground, but I will attempt to do so. Now you'll see that I have a larger, if you look on the right-hand side, the Panthers, the FL-33s, my capacitors for my repeaters are bigger, but the downside is that they also go quickly. So let's see about the cannons and take a look at how well they do and how fast they fire. Because they fire slower, they do have a longer amount of time that you can focus on your targets. No kidding. Did it with some other writers a while back, and that was something. Oh no, was Klesher involved? Because Klesher is usually involved when you have the writers along. Now yes, you can fire both weapons at the same time, repeaters and cannons. Sometimes that works out well, and sometimes not so much. One of the reasons I prefer to have, you know, the same weapon on all my hard points when I can, is solely so that I can have a pretty predictable amount of weapons fire, damage, and all that happening at a given time. Guy's still got his shields up, which is annoying. Now you see that the laser repeaters were already out, but it took a little while longer for the cannons to run out of their ammo. And again, that has to do with the rate of fire. Now theoretically, the cannons are doing more damage per hit. Unfortunately, that's a hard thing to measure because, well, it ain't that kind of game. And of course, it would probably go a lot better if I had, you know, all 4 cannons. But, you know, it's kind of hard to argue with the results, right? Okay, let's deal with the rest of these guys. Now, one of the benefits of using repeaters is if you're flying against smaller ships, smaller, more maneuverable ships, you might find it better to have, you know, lots of shots going in their general direction, as opposed to taking shots with cannons which are slower, both in rate of fire and in speed. You'll note it takes a little longer for those shots to get to target, whereas the repeater, they're right there. And that's a pretty significant difference. So it's a question of, do you want to do more damage per shot, or do you want to have a chance of hitting more shots on target? There is no right answer to that. It's all in personal preference. And it's another Valkyrie. Ah. I probably shouldn't have ignored that, but I do that sometimes. I tend to focus on the primary target of a bounty, and then for everybody else, it's whoever happens to be my targeting sites first. Usually. Bigger ship. I'm kind of going with the cannons. On the other hand, why nerf myself, right? And bad guys down. Now we're going to head back to Olisar, and we're going to do some... Actually, no. I said we were going to do Grim Hex, didn't I? See what their shop has. Mainly because we're going to also want to swap out some of the weapons I'm using now for some ballistics. I mean, might as well take a look at how the ballistics perform, right? But I want to make sure that I can get size 3s, so... I don't know if Grim Hex has them or not. It's worth looking into. We'll find that out. Now, for those who are unfamiliar, Grim Hex is pretty much the... How can I best put it? Hive of scum and villainy in the Stanton star system. It's kind of like Mos Eisley if Mos Eisley was in really bad shape. That's right. Now, any moment now, I'm going to be out of comsat range. There we go. Which makes this a popular place for people just, you know, casually murdering each other. It's always an occupational hazard around Grim Hex. Especially since Jumptown is going on right now, and I'm pretty sure this might be one of the drop-off locations for the criminal missions. You know, I wish I'd thought of that before I started my approach. Oops. Well, you know, we'll hope for the best. It was awfully quiet, but it looks like they gave me a landing spot, so I'm okay with quiet. And there are the landing bay hangars. And I am flying relatively upside down, so let's right myself up. Come in for the landing. Of course, the downside about replacing weapons here is that, thanks to the way inventory works these days, they will be bound more or less here. Well, not bound here. That's really not the right word. But whatever I replace here is going to stay here. At this time, you cannot transport ship components from one area to another. It's annoying. Now, maybe when they do the physicalized cargo thing, maybe you'll be able to do that at that point. But you can't yet. Ah, I'd wondered where the emergency elevators were for the Grim Hex station. Here they are. Looks so nice and clean, right? That means even a horrible place like this must have a pretty nice medical facility, right? Right? Yeah, if you got the idea that I'm leading you on with that, you're 100% right. we'll take a quick stop at the medical facilities here so you can understand just what they're willing to do. You're ready for physicalized everything. Well, you know, so am I. I'm just looking forward to when they actually pull the trigger. And here we are. What a nice looking place, right? I mean, it just screams sanitary, doesn't it? Surely, this is the kind of place you'd want to have surgery done on yourself. In fact, let's get crazy here. I'd like to check in as a patient here, sir. Just give me a look, please. Floor B1, room 1. I'm going to assume that B1 is downstairs. Yeah, doesn't this look like just the kind of place you'd like someone doing surgery on you? Oh, someone left a helmet here. Oh, Horizon helmet. Yeah, if you wake up in one of these beds, you know you've done something really horribly wrong with your life. And while I'm here, since we're on the subject of doing horrible things with your life, let's make sure my spawn point is here too. That way, should my ship get blown up, with me still in it, I will not have far to go. Alright. Step 2. Now this is where it's always entertaining, because sometimes these things bug out where the elevator doors are screwed up. They're not screwed up today, or at least not screwed up so far, let's put it that way. But when they do, yeah, when they do something like that, that's a problem. And you know what? That's a bad sign, because that might mean that I may have a serious problem on my hands. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, that could be a problem. But not all hope is lost. More on that shortly. First, though, I need to go to Dumper's Depot. And the way there is to go on this floor, this level, and look for the open door. And then just go all the way back. And here we are. Now, prove me right and have vehicle weapons. Vehicle weapons. So, we want size 3s. Okay, we'll grab a couple of these mass drive. Okay, well, actually, we'll grab more than a couple. We'll grab 4 mass driver cannons. And we have some sucker punches. I'm just going to grab 2 of these, because I would probably do them. Jump in, hop outside, drink a beer, plenty to do. Well, you know, one of those answers is the right answer. I really thought there would be more size 3 weapons here. I mean, I suppose I could go crazy and, you know, go with some size 2s, but they're basically the same things I've got now, with the exception of this ballistic repeater, and that's size 1. We're not going to worry about that. What do they have in the way of paint? Just for giggles. All my paint got hosed with the 3.16 patch with the physical inventory. Let me rephrase that. My in-game purchased paint got hosed. Grab the tan and green for my arrow somewhere along the line. Okay, unfortunately, I seem to have accidentally not stored my saber yet, so I can't actually put the guns on it right away. And as we have already seen, the elevators at Grimhex have decided to be, shall we say, obstreperous. That's your word of the day, gentlemen and ladies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the really, really, really scenic route. And now I'm in 0G. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go into the guts of Grimhex. The blood and guts, no doubt. And we're going to work our way out over here. Oops. And level myself out. And here we are outside of the station. Of course, being outside the station really doesn't help out much, does it? I mean, seriously. Oops, I'm about to bang my head against something. Let's get clear a bit. Ouch. Okay, I'm a little disoriented. Okay. Okay. Scoot myself this way a little bit. And the goal here is to get to the old landing pads of Grimhex. You see, before they had those hangars put in, they just had standard landing pads. Right over here. Let's kind of straighten myself out, get a little higher. And then we'll just try to go vertical until gravity kicks in and bang. Ouch, that hurts a little bit, but you know what? That's okay because now you'll see over here we have a door. And best of all, this will lead me to the ship vehicle terminals. In other words, I am exactly where I want to be. This way. Now, technically speaking, you can still land your ships here, but if you do, you do not have access to the lovely utilities. Oh, an emergency drop-off here. Huh. They even put one there. You don't have access to most of the amenities like refueling, restocking. Let me rephrase that. I'm not sure you have access to them. Certainly, however, they have one major disadvantage, and that's the fact that somebody can blow up your ship. The hangars are safer. The landing pads are faster. The choice is up to you. Oh, the saber did get stored. I guess it must have stored when I was busy doing my EVA routine. Well, you know what? I'm 79% down on my health. Why don't we just take care of that now? Let's see the friendly doctors here at Grimhex. B1 Room 1. Well, there's deja vu. You're risking getting worse than you know. Yes, we did comment about just how incredibly unsafe these things were probably. But you know, you gotta risk little things like tetanus and other equally entertaining diseases. And there we go, 100%. I mean, the only thing riskier than using a Grimhex medbed would be using a Drake Cutlass Red medbed. Horrible ideas all. But now my health is back to top. Not that I really expect a whole lot of problems with it, because if I blow up in a starship, the percentage health really isn't going to help me. I'll step out of the way for a minute, and we're going to slap on some of those weapons onto the saber here. So, we've got those sucker punches. I'll replace the repeaters with them. And I'll replace the cannons with the mass driver cannons. So this is going to be interesting, because I've almost never used distortions, and I don't think I've ever actually used mass drivers. So we're going to have a little bit of an interesting time just seeing how well these weapons do. Saber, saber, saber. Back to Hangar 2. Unlike the main elevators at the between lobby and concourse, these elevators work. I realize I was kind of taunting fate when I said that, but I do that sometimes. So let's see what the exterior weapons look like now. This, I believe, is the mass driver, and these would be the distortion sucker. Well, maybe not actually. No, I think these are just. I think these guys are the. You know what? Doesn't matter. We'll find out when I go flying. So, get those engines powered on. We're going to swap the MFDs again. One day, they will have the MFDs stay put when you set them. One day, I will also be a Chinese jet fighter pilot. They claim to have once again fixed the duplicated elevator bug in 3.16.1, but hashtag Star Citizen bugs. Wait, stop, wait a second. You're saying that this game has bugs? Yes, that's a joke. Anybody who knows anything about this game knows that Star Citizen has more bugs than a Starship Troopers movie. A statement I've made many times in the past and will likely make many times in the future, and I will stop saying that when it stops being true. Oh, yeah, one more thing. I go through all this, I should probably grab a target mission, shouldn't I? Again, we're going to grab a VHRT because, you know, I feel that's a decent barometer for this kind of thing. Yes, I got Korath bingo! Yes, see how many other spots on your card you can get from things I say and do in this game. In fact, let me add another one to your card. Drake starships should not be considered for hauling garbage. They should be considered being hauled away as garbage. There you go. That's another spot on your card right there. I can be predictably reliable on many things. Okay, target location is over here, conveniently also around yellow. Wow, it's almost as if criminals congregate around yellow. Now, the sucker punches are distortion weapons, and yeah, no, not in your game card? Yeah, that figures. As I mentioned earlier, distortion weapons are weapons that are good for trashing shields and trashing electronics. At least in theory. How well that happens sometimes is dubious. And they're not always scatter guns, and these guys are scatter guns. In fact, let's do a quick, oh, I guess they're not actually. I thought they were. So these are the sucker punches. I guess they're cannons. Oops. And just like the lasers, they do have capacitors. Now, the sledges are a different story. I'm pretty sure they're being treated as ballistics, so I'm not going to... You'll notice that they have a much bigger capacity. But the downside is, when it's gone, it's gone. So the plan here is to use the sucker punches to take out the shields of my target, and then rain merry hell upon them with the sledges for fire for effect. How well this does? Your guess is literally as good as mine. Let's find out. Now the good news is that this one is taking place in space, which means I don't have to worry about little details like the ground hitting me. I just have to worry about impacting any one of hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of asteroids. So hey, awesome tactics. Let's try to close in on the target location a little faster, shall we? Hopefully these things will take down the shields fast, but a lot depends on the target. For example, hurricanes are a lot tankier than they ought to be. It's probably not a Valkyrie, because I'd have seen them by now. Yeah, it would be a hurricane, wouldn't it? But that's good, though. That's good, because that'll be a good test for using the sledges. Wow, he's got friends, doesn't he? But the primary target is the hurricane. Let me, how rude of them, firing those missiles at me. That's impolite. I'd fire missiles back, but this is a gun stream, not a missile stream. Guns will be another time. Okay, let's see if the shields can be turned into mush by these distortions. Well, so far it's not horribly impressive, but then again, I'm only firing a couple of these things. It'd also be nice if I could shut down the ship by hitting it with distortions, but I have no idea how well that will work. Not doing very well. His shields are still stubbornly full. You know, they talk about the changes they're going to be doing with shields in the 3.16.1, and I kind of want to say, I want to see those same things happen with the shields on my enemy ships, like the Hurricane here. We are not having very good luck with this guy. Gotten some hits on him with the distortions, but they are not doing beams to this guy. Of course, it doesn't help that I'm not actually hitting him very much either. But he's still doing his thing. Missiles. That's never good. I might have to rely on starting using missiles here. I mean, I'm hitting the guy's shields, but they're not looking like they're being phased by these distortion weapons at all. Oh, on the other hand, maybe I have started doing something. He didn't look like he was maneuvering much. 890 mission failed spectacularly. Dumped half an AR mag at point blank to an NBC, which turned around and shot you. I'm guessing that you didn't make it to the medical bay there, Whammo. Well, my condolences there. Sometimes stuff happens. It wouldn't be the first time that ground missions have gone, oh, what just hit me? Or what I got hit? Ow! Oh, there's a big freaking asteroid there, that's why. Distance, distance, distance. Okay, well, this is annoying. And the guy's shield is all the way back. That's really annoying. I know there are a number of people out there who swear by distortion cannons. I'm not one of them, though. Fights like this are demonstrating why. Now, they maybe do better against larger ships that, you know, have the maneuverability of a tank. But for the most part, these distortions are really awful. Now, maybe if I use a different type of distortion weapon, like the scattergun distortions or the distortion repeaters, maybe they would work out better. But distortion cannons, they're being somewhat less than impressive. Now, against players, these weapons may have a different detail because, you know, players handle ships a lot differently than AI. Did that shut him down? He doesn't seem like he's actually moving a whole... Oh no, he's still shooting. But his shields look like they've started taking some hits, so we're going to start hitting him with some of the sledges. Man, you want slow moving? Yeah, these sledges, the mass drivers aren't exactly impressing me either. Now, maybe part of it's because of the fact that the Hurricane is such a tanky ship. I mean, really, for its size. On the other hand, I am damaging them, so, you know, I can't say too many bad things about it. And I'm doing a better job on ammunition on this too, because unlike repeaters, I've got to pull the trigger each time I fire, as opposed to holding the button down and spraying. Hypothetically, I want to replace my flying Nerf gun of an ion. Hypothetically speaking, of course. Vanguard or Saber are not comparable. They're actually kind of not comparable, and the reason for that is that the Saber is marketed as a stealth fighter, and unfortunately stealth mechanics are kind of iffy at the moment. So, while I can certainly do things like the VHRTs in this thing, it's not necessarily the best one for that. Vanguard, on the other hand, is a heavy fighter, which has lots of guns, which is always a plus. And depending on the variant you get, you may be able to do quite a bit with them. The Harbinger, for example, the Harbinger has heaps and heaps of missiles, comparatively speaking. Whereas the Sentinel has an EMP weapon. The other thing you gotta consider too is that the heavy fighters also carry a separate turret, which means a second person can go on board the Vanguards with you and man the turret and increase your available firepower substantially. Whereas Saber is very much a single-seater. I think the Vanguard is a little harder to maneuver. The Saber is a little more maneuverable. So it really comes down to gameplay preferences. Also, for the record, I really don't have a major problem with the Ion. Ion is still my ship of choice dealing with the ERTs at the moment, even though they got nerfed like crazy with the last patch. I still don't see too much of a problem dealing with large targets. Small targets, different story altogether. But for larger targets, they still do what I like them to do, and that was the reason I picked them up, to go against large targets, so I wouldn't be completely useless if I was helping somebody out. But somebody with fight off a hammerhead or an Idris. Because when I was using the Vanguards, I never really felt I was helping out much when we were fighting Idrises or hammerheads. I don't have that sensation with the Ares. But mileage varies with each player. Each player is going to have their own preferences, and ow, ow, ow! Saber would be more comparable to the Hornet Ghost. Yeah, that probably would be a good comparison. I can't really speak to the effectiveness of the Hornet Ghost. I've not flown that very much. I think the Hornet might have a slight advantage in the fact that you can get a lot more weapons on it. I mean, the Saber has 4 guns on it, whereas the Hornet can have, if you get a ball turret and the nose guns, it could have an ungodly amount of weapons on it. Ooh, I think I just knocked that Gladius out of control. Oh, but he's recovering quickly. You know, when the mass driver hits, it hits good. Run the 3 Panther, 2 Badger, and that's been nutty. Nutty good or nutty bad? Stupid light fighters. There we go. And one more target here, and then we'll swap these guns out. Nutty good. Well, that's always great to hear. I think my last target here is a Saber because I keep losing radar lock on him. And that's a pretty good indicator that, yeah, there might be a Saber flying around out here. That you? No, that's a rock. It's a little tricky to ping for fighter craft, especially if you're in an asteroid belt. You know what? I'm going to take that as a win anyway. If the guy's not coming here to fight me, then the way I see it, I've won the conflict. So we're going to head back to Olisar, and we're going to try out a couple other weapons. I have absolutely no problems with the Hornet class. Hornet is a great ship. I think it's underrated. Being able to replace the top of it with a turret, but either a double turret or one big gun. There was a time where I was using a Revenant Gatling on the top, and it was just scary. That was before the current capacitor gameplay rolled in, and the extremely limited ammunition. You'll also notice that now I have 20 out of 100 shots on my sledge left. So that's an indicator of the problems you run into with ballistic weapons. Ballistics can, and often will, run out. But, as we've also seen, you can take out your opponents with what you've got. You just have to resign yourself to having to fairly regularly rearm. And the fact that you have such limited ammo for ballistics is one of the main reasons why I kind of stick with the energy weapons for now. Ammo is going to be increased again for ballistics in the future, right? The answer is maybe. The general consensus I see on various forums and all that indicate that, yeah, they're probably going to do some tweaking on that at some point. But your guess is probably better than mine as to when they will actually do so. Turn off. There we go. One of the annoying bugs with that goes on occasionally here, I know, bug in Star Citizen, is that the quantum drives just keep running and running if you go approaching a space station. Always maybe with CIG. Yeah, that's just the way it is. I mean, if you were to think that sometimes they tend to focus on something and then go after the latest shiny and ignore something, that probably wouldn't be too far from the truth sometimes. No, you ain't going to be impounding me because I'm going to be landing where I'm supposed to land. And in fact, we might grab a different ship just to check out some of the other weapon types available.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Ooh, yeah, I suppose maybe I should have repaired the ship a little bit. I think I might have scratched things up a little bit. Yeah, it's still holding together, right? There's no parts falling off or anything.
Please come to an immediate halt and hold for your vessel to be scanned.
Yeah, you do that, security guy. You do that, security guy. Feel free to... Yeah, go ahead. Be my guest.
Okay, thanks. You're clear to proceed.
He's too kind, isn't he? Yes, feel free to scan my landed vessel. Really, you don't even need scanners because, you know, with all the holes in it, you should be able to see right through it. And really, how much contraband can I be flying in a Saber anyway? It's got no cargo. Although I suppose I could be wearing, you know, Hurston security armor or something like that. That could probably do something. Alright, let's store the ship up, and we'll take a look at the available weapons here. I can do the repair work later. So, we're talking size 3s. So we'll take a look at the vehicle weapons here, and we already know about the FL-33s. And those are the only size 3 weapons here. Alright. Let's get creative. I'm going to pick up 4 size 3 gimbal mounts. And what this will do is it'll let me mount up size 2 weapons. So now I have more options here. Distortion repeaters. That'd be different from the cannons, wouldn't it? Ballistic cannons. Yeah. Let's grab a couple of these ballistic cannons. We'll test those guys out. These aren't quite mass drivers, so they'll have a different utility.
I think you're going to be happy with that.
Or ballistic scatter guns. Oop, somebody was being bad outside of OSR because I hear things exploding. Someone was being bad. But I'm also going to grab a couple of these Neutron Cannons.
Good purchase.
So we have a bunch of size 2s on here now. And that's going to make life a little rougher for the VHRTs because smaller guns means it takes more time to kill guys off. So maybe I'll do an MRT for this one. So go to the vehicle weapons, and what we'll do here is I'm going to put on these size 3 gimbal mounts. Now as you see, once I've done this, each of these areas have a little slot underneath them for more weapons. And this is where we put on those smaller guys down here. So the question comes... Did I buy something else that was size 2? Didn't I buy those cannons? Okay, let's go back for a second there. I'm a little miffed about that. I could have sworn I'd bought myself a set of ballistic cannons, and I didn't see them available. That probably means I screwed something up. Maybe I didn't actually purchase them. Okay, Moby
I
Glass.
think you're going to be happy with that.
I'll be happy with that if I can equip them. So let's find out. Vehicle weapons. Yeah. No, where the heck are they? Okay. Somebody is lying to me. Either Dumper's Depot is stealing my money. No, I'm not going to be hitting the purchase button again. I just want to confirm for my own eyes that everything on here said, oh, I am an idiot. Ah! Idiot, idiot, idiot. These are bespoke weapons for the Vanguard. Ah, that was D-U-M dumb. Ah! And since I don't even have a Vanguard, well... Oh wait, I do have a Vanguard actually. Must be a loaner for the one of the ships I've got. I have a Harbinger here, so... Okay. Okay. Although apparently I already have those on here, so... Eh! You live and learn. Yes, yes they are. Yes, they are. Okay, well, that was pretty dumb. I mean, wasn't it? Let's see. I don't want the Gatlings on there. What I want on here are the... Oops, not those. Neutron Cannons? Scatter guns. I'll put the scatter guns on the wings. And we'll put the Neutron Cannons on the sides. Okay. So it's time to pull out the saber again, because, you know, the saber is my whipping boy today. A2. A2, the landing pad, not to be confused with A2, the Hercules Starlifter with the massive bombs. I guess I could distinguish it by saying it's A02, but... Nah. And the first thing I'll do before taking off is fix the ship. Although they do seem to have hammered some of the dents out while I was storing it, because... Okay, so on the sides we've got these scatter guns. And over here we have the rather elegant looking neutron weapons. Kick on the engines. We will do the refuel, restock, repair thing. And while that's working, let's grab an MRT bounty on this. Actually, where's in regular HRT? Regular HRT might be better here. Our target location is at Big Shock, Yella. Did I say something about Hive of Scum and Villainy? It still is the Hive of Scum and Villainy. Oh yeah, and before I get too involved, target status, self stats. It used to be that the areas up in your corners of your screen, the upper corners, left and right, would show you your self status and target status. But when 3.16 rolled around, or was it actually 3.15? It was somewhere in the last patch or two that they got rid of them. Still not happy about that. However, as is often the case, I was not consulted. I know this shocks everybody because, you know, I realize that my advice is so treasured by CIG and all.
Thank you. And please visit again.
So we're going after Peter. Well, Peter, I got bad news for you. You've been bad. And bad things happen to bad people. Now, again, I have a combination of energy and ballistics, neutron weapons. They don't run out of ammo. Scatter guns, these are ballistic scatter guns, and yes, they will, which is the reason why we are not testing out the fire on those right yet. Especially since I only have 84 shots on those guys. So I'm going to want to be sure that if I'm going to be opening fire with those things, that I'm going to hit. Now the good news is, because they're scatter guns, odds are, yeah, they're going to hit. It's just how solid of a hit will they be. Also, scatter guns, like those mass drivers, are not a hold the button down and it keeps firing. You have to manually click the trigger each time you want to fire those. Unless they changed something since the last time I fiddled with them, but I kind of doubt it. Peter, we're 23 kilometers and closing. And we've got targets, including primary target flying. Ah, come on, a hurricane? Seriously? Fine. Hopefully there's no Valkyries involved here. Seriously, I'm not being paid enough for this. Let's get my countermeasures ready. These guys will be throwing missiles at me shortly, I'm sure. 8 kilometers? I'm not sure he even knows I'm here yet. Which would be great if I had weapons that could get, you know, 6 kilometers out. Okay, technically missiles qualify, but we're not doing the missile thing. Somebody has recognized my presence here and is firing missiles. And it looks like Pete has become aware of me. So, repeaters first until we get the shields down to a mess. And then we'll go with the ballistic scatter guns and see what happens. I'm definitely scoring hits better here. But because they're repeaters, the damage is less per hit. So it's relying upon volume of hits as opposed to quality of hits. Shields are almost gone. The neutron repeaters are supposed to be better damage. Come on, let's get the last bit of your shields gone. Alright. Fun time. Getting some hits, but I don't know that we're being as effective as I would like to be. Oh, that's another point. I could be setting the gimbals to do some auto-targeting for me. I don't know how well that would work with the scatterguns, though. Well, the good news is we're getting some hits on them.
Danger. Weapon systems overheating.
Well, according to his ship status, he looks hurt. I've almost gone through, no, actually I've almost gone through half of my available ammunition for the scatterguns. I'd like to preserve some of it to fight against some of these other vessels, so we're going to try to finish this guy off with neutrons. I may have no choice, though. The amazing thing is this guy is still holding together. I did say something about the Hurricanes being abnormally tanky, right? And his shields are coming back up too, which is not good. Okay, let's see about the auto gimbals and see how they work out. Well, they're scoring hits, that's for certain. How much more can he take? There's an awful lot of red on his ship. Language. That's how you know you're doing a good job, when he starts cursing at you on a regular basis.
Got something for you.
Okay, let's take a look at some of those other targets we've got flying around here, shall we? A saber. Well, if you want a good, even matchup, can't do much better than this. Saber on saber action. He's dealing with very likely a default loadout. And I'm, well, using neutrons and scatterguns. He's got not much longer to live. Oh, looks like he just blew up. And then we have a Cutlass Black. I always take great personal pleasure in taking these guys down. So let's see what happens when we hit him with the neutrons a few times. See if we can get those shields to go bye-bye. Whoops. Getting a little too close there. I don't know if I want to dance that close to the Cutlass. That's the kind of thing that says, hey, I'd like to get blown up today. I want to get his shields down a bit more so I can start hitting him with the scatterguns hard. There goes those shields. Getting some of those hits. Now, scatterguns are probably better against larger targets. And while the Cutlass is a bigger target than the Saber, I don't know that's appreciably bigger. Hammerheads and the like, I think those are the guys who will take more damage from a scattergun because more of the spread will hit them. Man, that guy is really kind of flying it close, ain't he? Oops! Well, good news, bad news. The bad news is we collided. The good news is I'm not dead. Oh, and that's it for the scattergun weapons. It's all neutron at this point. Illustrating again the disadvantages of flying with ballistic weapons right now. Running out of ammo at inconvenient moments like this. Fortunately, that Cutlass is basically flying on a wing and a prayer right now, so it's not going to be long before he basically joins the rest of the Angels. Or, you know, given the average Drake pilot, the fellows who are not Angels. There's a fair amount of capacitor power for these guys. I don't know if he's intentionally flying away or if he has no more steering. We're going to stick on lock weapons now. I'm not sure the gimbals are really helping me at the moment. Ballistics are out, you're basically at the mercy of whatever ammo you may still have. And that's not necessarily great. Oh, you know what? I'm also flying obscenely fast at the moment. That probably makes targeting a little trickier. Oh, the guns are still working. Look at all that red on his display there. If I had a chance, I would probably scan him and see what his percentage health is right now, but I'm pretty sure the number is a very small number. So this combination of weapons perhaps is not the best combination of weapons, and it kind of demonstrates why I prefer to have all my weapons pretty much alike. And also why I prefer the energy weapons. There we go. Okay, let's see. Let's get back to OSR and do some spot repair work, shall we? Flying back, flying back. Okay, Olisar. Now, one of the problems with Olisar lately is the problem that's been around for Everest Harbor for a long time, which is frankly the quantum marker for Olisar isn't actually taking you to Olisar. And that's been a problem for Everest for a long time too, so it's not new. And I'm pretty sure it happened because they moved Olisar's actual location to be closer to being above Orison, the main landing zone of the Crusader gas giant. Come on, give me a landing pad.
Please Assigned landing bay.
And I'm flying upside down again. Now, admittedly, up and down is relative in space. However, right now I'm relative to Port Olisar, so...
Landing gear deployed.
Ooh! Yeah, I seem to have gotten hurt a little bit more than I expected there. Yeah. I didn't need that wing anyway. All I can say is, ouchies. Luckily, repairs and restocks for a Saber is pretty inexpensive. Okay, repairs are done. Oops.
Engines offline.
Let's step outside and yank out parts again. So let's see, we've looked at neutrons, we looked at lasers, we've looked at distortions, we looked at ballistics. I don't know that we've looked at the Gatlings yet. So let's store the ship here and see if there's a Gatling that's available in a size I can work with. Now, you may be able to guess that Gatlings, being a ballistic weapon, they will run out of ammo fast. And the only thing I can say to that is,
Hi. Welcome to the
yes.
store.
Yes, they will. So, let's see. Revenant Gatling is a little too long. Do I have any fighters that have size 4s? I don't think I do. Unless, of course, it's the Harbinger. I could do it on the Harbinger. Oh, boy, they're going to make me think about this, aren't they? I'm going to drop back 10 and punch. Let's see, what else we got here? Freelancers at size 3s, that won't do it. I know that the 325s aren't going to have it. They do have a size 4. Okay, well, we have a winning contestant here. Would have been nice if I could have done it for the other two as well, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, 325A is going to be the ship of choice for the next weapon demonstration. As soon as I get myself to the correct location. Origin 325 Alpha, listed as an interceptor. I honestly didn't expect it to have a Revenant Gatling on it. It is not the ship I associate with Gatling weapons. Origin is a luxury corporation. They prefer to sell the high-end starships. They are basically the Lexus of Star Citizen. So, a ship carrying a Revenant Gatling gun is not quite what I expect. So over the side here, we've got the laser cannons. Those will be our primary weapon. And for our finisher, this bad boy. Yeah. the Friendly Apocalypse Arms logo. Designed for when you want to send the very best of physical harm to somebody. We're going to sit down in this nicely padded seat. Yes, even for interceptors, Origin likes to make it comfortable. Now you will note that we have 240 rounds of ammunition on this Gatling gun. Does it sound like a lot? Trust me, it's not. But you don't have to take my word for it. We'll be demonstrating that right now. So we're going to grab another HRT because even though they have a... Well, you know what? No. But if I'm going to have to deal with this freaking hurricanes, we might as well get paid for the VHRT. I mean, come on. Target of choice is once again at Yella. I know, Yella. Who would have thunk it, right?
Landing gear raised.
Now, to be fair, I don't very often take out 300 series starships for bounty hunting. So this is actually going to be an interesting experience, really, no matter how I slice it. Speaking of interesting, let's get my target and self status up here.
Quantum drive deactivated.
Now I can see my target status, I can see my self status. I should be able to have a... And they actually position them pretty decently, so I can actually read the bloody things in the middle of a fight.
Quantum drive activated. Quantum drive deactivated.
Laser cannons, again, not the fastest firing in the world. And there's only 2 of them, so the amount of damage they can do is going to be iffy. What I'm counting on is being able to deal with enough of the shielding of the primary target where I can feel comfortable using the Gatling ammunition on them and ripping them a new one. That's the plan. But as anybody who knows anything about warfare can tell you, battle plans never survive contact with the enemy. Please tell me that's not Giles. Okay, Giles is in a hurricane. Of course he's in a hurricane. Of course he's in a hurricane. And just on schedule, we have missiles likely to come in. I am shocked. I was certain I'd have missiles incoming from the hurricane at least, but... Okay, these guys are getting a little uncomfortable in my, Let's use some strategery, shall we? Yeah, I think not. Okay, you know what? I prefer to go after the primary target first, usually, but... I'm going to make an exception because I don't want to have to deal with this guy firing on me while I'm busy. Besides, he's a bigger target and therefore much more attractive to that Revenant Gatling. Guess whose shields are down?
Got a surprise for you.
How's that for a surprise? I've already gone through almost 100 rounds. And I'm down to 39. That's how fast a freaking Gatling goes through ammunition. Unfortunately, that means I'm going to have to really husband my ammunition for the rest of these guys. Not the situation I would have preferred to be in, especially with a ship as tanky as the Hurricane. On the other hand, I find it easy to believe that I'd probably not score as many hits as I would like on the Hurricane on a stream of weapons, so... Oh, my, fine.
Ballistics requires reload.
Which is great. I've taken out the 2 escorts, leaving me to deal with the Hurricane with just the laser cannons. This is gonna suck. Oh, you know what? He's not the only one who can play with missiles. Chew on that, boy. Ha ha! How about that? I almost never get missile kills. All right. So that's a taste of the Revenant. That's a taste of the Gatling guns, and as we've demonstrated, Gatlings, they're out of ammo like in no time whatsoever. It makes it very fun to use, but also very quick to run out of ammo. For a sustained engagement, awful.
Quantum drive activated.
But if you can imagine having multiple Revenants on a starship, that would be a whole lot of damage being kicked out at once. If you can land the hits. And again, it seems we have not actually arrived at Olisar,
Quantum drive deactivated.
but rather 337-ish kilometers short of Olisar. And this kind of thing happened all the time with Everest Harbor.
Quantum drive activated. Quantum drive deactivated.
I don't know if the other orbital stations have that problem or not. I guess I don't spend enough time there. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted to hit.
Landing gear.
That's what I wanted to hit. Oh yeah, I guess it would help if I asked for a landing pad.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Well, yes, I think I will. Thank you very much. Pretty good shape. Doesn't look like I got shot up that badly in this thing. Didn't do too badly for a VHRT mission.
Have a pleasant stay.
It is not one I would recommend using very often for the VHRTs, but you know, it did all right. Oh, and it even put my missiles on. I'm a little surprised. Sometimes missiles don't restock as much as other things in here, and yeah, it's a bug. I know, right? A bug in Star Citizen. Who would have thunk it? Alright, let's see. I think that might have covered all the various weapon types that I can think of offhand. Did the neutrons? Yeah, we did the neutrons. We've done the lasers. We've done the mass drivers, the ballistics, the distortions. We've done scatter guns and cannons and repeaters and gatlings. Mass drivers. So in the final analysis, my preference, at least at this stage in the game's life, my preference is to go with the energy weapons, simply because of the fact that most of the conflicts I have tend to be potentially extended conflicts. If I were doing a single-player bounty hunt target kind of thing, at that point I would consider using something along the lines of the ballistics, because more damage and shorter fights, theoretically shorter fights, and theoretically not too much in the way of backup, that would be the way to go for that sort of thing. But for most of the stuff that I get involved with, the PvE bounty hunting, or really any other ship fighting mission, usually they tend to be sustained conflicts, and really want to have energy weapons that don't run out of ammo. I was hoping to see some additional weapons here. I don't think there's too many other types to really go over here. Let's see. I've done the Gatlings, done the cannons, done the repeaters. You can find ships pretty much with almost every combination you can think of for type of ammunition and type of gun. I have a preference for the laser repeaters, but I'm kind of coming around to the cannon side of the force a little bit, especially in the current time, because a couple patches ago they normalized all the weapons where they all do, at least within a class, the same damage per second. So you'll get the same damage per second with the laser cannons that you get with the laser repeaters. The difference is how that damage is distributed. A laser repeater is firing faster, but each hit is less damage. The cannon fires slower, but each hit is more damage. So it's a question of determining what you want. If you think that you're going to have sustained fire on a target for a lengthy period of time, you might think that the repeaters are the way to go. On the other hand, if you want to make sure that you're hitting hard every time you hit, the cannons would be the way to go. And, you know, it varies. I don't know how it really works out with the scatter guns. And the Gatlings throw things off crazy too, so it really can go either way. But that takes care of our little weapons exhibition. And I think we'll wrap things up early today, because I really can't think of any more of the weapons to demo. I hope you enjoyed this gun exhibition. Maybe next time, if I think of it, and maybe somebody will remind me at that point, we will start playing Mad Scientist with the various missiles. A2 bomb. Yeah, I can't really arm an A2 bomb on any of the ships I'm flying right now, Cap. Sorry. I don't even have an A2 to fly at the moment. Yes, I know I can borrow one pretty easily, but, you know, timing is everything, right? But missiles, those we can fiddle around with. And we'll probably kick that off in the future. I'd like to thank folks for stopping by today. Whether you were chatting or just lurking, I always like having people stop by. I will be streaming Star Citizen again next Saturday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I do say approximately. I also do streams on Wednesday nights for Star Trek Online. I do those at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. There may be a stream on Monday, possibly. I'll probably do a stream for Valheim at that point in time. I have the day off, so I might decide that, hey, it's a good time to do a Valheim stream again. And that's pretty much it for today. Thank you all for watching, whether you were watching live or watching it video on demand, either on Twitch or on YouTube. I'm going to slap a host on here for the theoretically ongoing, I think it's still ongoing, Daymar Rally, the player-run event that involves racing vehicles on the surface of the moon Daymar. Thank you all for watching. This is Korath Landwalker, signing off.